It's Body and Soul. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition. We're revisiting a topic we've covered before. Hyperhidrosis, or excessive sweatiness. Professor Lam, we had a great discussion with our guest the last time about this.
Yes, we did, but it's such a common condition, we should talk about it again.
Absolutely. Something like 5% of the world's population has this problem. Sweaty palms, sweaty underarms, sweaty feet. And that means 365 million people plagued with this condition. I've met two more of them, and they're coming on the show very soon. But Professor Lam, how does this all start? How do we understand hyperhidrosis?
Well, first of all, we have to understand normal sweating because it's normal. So please let me show you how sweating is a natural way for our body to regulate our temperature. Now, when we exercise, when it's really warm, body temperature goes up. And guess what this does? Well, our brain is connected by nerves that go all over our bodies, including to the skin surface and into the sweat glands. And those nerves can tell the sweat glands when the body temperature is going up, hey, produce some sweat. It goes onto the surface of the skin, and when sweat evaporates, it takes the heat of vaporization away from the body and cools us down.
So that's how we sweat and what sweating is for, but when does it become an abnormal issue, Professor Lam?
Now, remember those sweat glands and nerves? Well, when they become hyperactive and they're therefore producing sweat all the time, even when it's not hot, and body temperature is normal, that's when it's a problem.
That does not sound pleasant at all. What leads to this problem, Professor Lam?
So not so easy to explain, but there are two groups. One is primary, where we don't really know, but it's not that harmful. You know, it's a typical sweaty palms, and we'll see some patients with them. But there's also a potential secondary type. Now, that's when it could signify an underlying problem. Now, if you suddenly sweat more than you used to, especially at night, it could be some infections, even some types of cancers. Of course, we know menopause and hot flashes, that can occur. If you've got a revved up metabolic system because of a thyroid problem, you can sweat excessively. Or, importantly, people having a heart attack, vagal symptoms, they can actually break out in a cold sweat.
Coming up, we're going to meet our celebrity guests and find out how they've been dealing with this excessive sweatiness. But first, another problem associated with it, body odor. If you're sweating a lot, body odor happens as well. Can you do anything about it? Vanessa Lopez went to find out.
What's that smell? Is it coming from me? Is it my feet? No. Oh. Well, we've all been in this situation before. That funky body odor coming from us can be so embarrassing in public, right? So what can we do about it? Well, I am here to find out how we can beat body odor. So Dr. Enlai, what causes body odor?
Well, the main cause for body odor is actually the bacteria breaking down the protein in the sweat into smelly acid. And other causes will include diet high in garlic and onion, medical condition like liver and kidney failure.
So what can I do to start dealing with it?
Well, once we have excluded medical condition, we can target it with 3 different strategies. Number 1, to reduce sweating by wearing clothes that is made of natural fiber like cotton and silk. And we can avoid diet such as those high in spices, garlic, onion, and alcohol. Next, to get rid of the bacteria and protein, we should start to bathe at least once a day.
At least once a day, yes.
Yes, at least once a day. There are also natural remedy like baking soda, alcohol spray, even apple cider vinegars. But be careful because this may cause contact dermatitis. Or you could get rid of the armpit hair by shaving or going for laser hair removal. And last of all, please change your clothes and socks when it's wet and towel off well after bathing.
So I've tried everything else. Now let's look at the other options. What treatment options are available?
We can consider oral medication like propranolol for sweating associated with anxiety. Beyond that, you may consider topical treatment like Althera using high-intensity focused ultrasound to actually reduce the sweating, and also surgery in severe cases.
Well, I'm feeling fresh already hearing about all that. We've learned some very interesting life hacks about how to deal with body odor. It's time now to try it for ourselves. So, go ahead. It's a shower.
I hope those tips help you control body odor issues. Up next, our sweaty celebrities tell us about how this has actually really plagued their lives. It's coming up on Body and Soul.
Have you heard of robotic surgery? In case you're thinking that this is surgery performed by a robot while the surgeon is in the next room having coffee, you're wrong. Robotic surgery is actually robotic assisted surgery, which means a robotic arm holding special surgical instruments is doing the surgery but being controlled by the surgeon at a computer. Why do we even want to do this? Well, because when going to small spaces, this can allow the surgeon to see better, to control better, and to be more precise and flexible in the movements. But why is it good for patients? Well, imagine that you can actually get to small spaces with a smaller cut. A smaller incision means less pain, less bleeding, potentially a faster recovery for patients. Now, before you start asking for robotic-assisted surgery all the time, remember, only some surgeries can be performed that way, only some surgeons have the skill, and only some patients are suitable for it. And that was your MedTech Minute.
Joining us on today's episode of Body and Soul, Chua, Enlai, and Fiza.
Hello.
Hey guys!
Hey!
Come, have a seat!
Oh, I'd love to shake your hands, but no.
Is that about sweaty hands or the pandemic?
Both.
So good to see you back. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Fiza, first time?
First time.
And I believe you chose this as the first time to talk about something.
Yes, I have always shied away from this, or I never ever thought I'd be so open to share something I've kept under like literal wraps all these years. It's something that has caused me a lot of discomfort and embarrassment, or like I tried to run away from it.
Okay. Thank you for choosing Body and Soul to talk about this. What is this?
This is hyperhidrosis. I've been facing throughout I think it started especially during my teenage years. I've had it a bit when I was in primary school, but it wasn't terrible. It was just something like that I could cope with. But then when I was in secondary 2, I think, it started getting worse. Like I would be having really wet. It wasn't even like slightly like glistening. It'd be wet palms that would distract me or make it so tough for me to actually complete an assignment, or especially during exams.
The exam paper.
Yes.
It would be wet.
And previously you had to like shade the
optical answer sheet.
Correct.
That you couldn't finish that.
So what did you use?
I would have, previously they have like papers, like A4 papers, right? Extra ones for us to do our essay. So I keep on asking for extra papers, but it's really for me to actually, so what will happen is like right now, it's wet, right?
Can we see your palms actually?
It's actually really wet.
They are sweaty right now.
Right, yeah. And my goodness, this is something that I've really been not comfortable to share on screen. I've whenever I'm holding a microphone and I'm working, right? I'll be like putting one hand at the back, at the side, so no one will know about it. Like I kind of cheated my system.
I'm so glad that you feel comfortable now sharing this as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's more of like, I know that there's always a younger person out there that's facing the same thing as me, but I've never spoken about it to anyone else. So I just want her or, him to understand that it's okay. I got through it and you will too.
Fantastic. Enlai, I'm curious, when it comes to hyperhidrosis, do you deal with a similar situation?
Yes, I also have sweaty palms, so it was so great to meet another patient backstage just now. I felt like I was not alone anymore.
Yeah.
What I would do when I was in an exam room, or even now actually sitting at a desk, I'll have a tea towel with me. And it goes below my fist. I can do this and sweat would drip. Pretty disgusting. I'm known as a sweater, as in not a jacket or a t-shirt, but a sweater.
Have you felt embarrassed about it in the same way that Fiza does?
Yes, I hate shaking hands. I mean, sometimes I I wish I was Japanese and, you know, I could
Yes,
just bow
yes,
all the
yes,
time.
yes,
Unfortunately, I've got a bad back as well, so I think bowing is not good for me too.
Next on Body and Soul.
Yeah, I know. I volunteer. Yeah, I really hate shaking hands. And the only good thing about this pandemic is that
Yeah.
we've stopped shaking hands.
We're just like doing that, right?
So could I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Does it affect any other part of your body?
Well, like I said, I'm a sweater. So I generally just sweat a lot, I think. I sweat up here.
All right.
Like on the crown of my head, I guess. Is it? I guess my underarms also. My feet, I guess. But I think what's most abnormal for me is this. I don't really like drip out of my armpit or anything.
No, again,
yeah,
you know,
but,
really thank you for coming forth to explain it. It's really common, actually.
Really?
Yes, and the areas that you just described are exactly the ones affected by this condition. See, we even have a name for it, right?
Yeah.
You know what hyperhidrosis, right? Hyper is too much. Hydrosis is sweatiness. And it does cause a lot of problems with functioning, especially students and so on. However, the other thing that you need to know is like feet. Cleanliness is important because infections can occur when
Yeah.
the area is moist all the time and so on and so forth. Yeah.
These are people who are on stage, holding microphones, performing in front of people. It's affecting their quality of life, their occupation even.
Yeah.
Do you worry about being on stage with sweaty palms or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. Holding on to a mic. Once I hold on to a mic, I start dripping.
Oh my goodness.
I also wear an undershirt a lot of times when I'm filming because you don't want to see sweat stains. You know, especially if you're wearing like a business shirt.
Yeah.
And you know, certain colors, very light colors, like light pink or light blue, and then dark blue. You know, because you may get stains there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am quite conscious of it.
Yeah. For me, it's more of like when you're on stage, right? You don't get nervous because of the event itself, but because of the idea of, oh my goodness, I'm going to sweat. I get
yes,
nervous
yes.
because I know I'm going to sweat.
Yes.
More than the event itself.
Yeah.
And then also, when after the show is over or no, like in between shows, you got to pass the mic to someone else. And then I feel so bad for the next person. I always will like wipe it against something I have. So before I pass it over to the sound man, I'll be like, no, wait a minute. I'm going to wipe it first for you. And they're going, no, it's okay. No. I know it's not okay.
I also sometimes think whether I'll get like electrocuted by the batteries. You know? Like,
Have you ever thought about it?
yeah.
Me too.
This is so interesting because it's affecting your quality of life.
Yeah.
And isn't that when it becomes
You
a
should
health
see a
issue?
doctor. Yes. Because we
That's
can
why we're
help.
here.
All right, that's good.
You've got questions. The sweaty underarms issue that you brought up was very interesting. The sweaty palms as well. Let's get some answers. That's coming up next on Body and Soul. Stay tuned to see whether there's a way to treat these hyperhidrosis problems. It's demo time right here on Body and Soul. On the examination table, it's Chua, Enlai, and Fiza. Oh.
Hey!
Hey guys, you talked to us about how it really is affecting your life so much and you have such great questions. I've invited Dr. Martin Huang onto the program. Dr. Huang, good to see you.
Hi, Daniel. Nice to be here.
Let's find out if we can help some of our celebs
Sure.
and their sweaty concerns. Enlai, underarms was something you wanted to know more about.
Yeah, I want to stop sweating here, everywhere.
How about we just focus on the underarms for now?
Okay, sure. One step at a time.
Have you tried first-line treatments like antiperspirants?
Yep, been there, done that.
Okay. How did it work for you?
Doesn't last for very long.
Yeah, that's a typical problem. So another second-line treatment, which is long-lasting, is to treat the sweat glands with microwave energy.
We can do that at home.
I should have done it earlier.
Yeah.
Not household microwaves, though. Yeah.
Huh?
Oh.
What do you mean?
And your armpit won't fit in the microwave anyway.
I could try.
We've actually brought the device along and Dr. Huang can show us how it's done. You want to try?
Yeah, on his bits.
Enlai's armpits.
Oh, totally. Please, let me expose to you my Brad Pitts. Okay, here we go. This is the first time I'm stripping on TV, Doctor.
Ooh,
I
we're so
see.
privileged to see your pits.
Oh, wow. I've never heard that before. First time for everything.
So what happens in the clinical setting before this is done?
Okay, so first of all, we'll
Pose like this.
no, we need to talk a little bit first. So
Oh.
we need to find out more about the problem, how severe it is, and how badly it is affecting your quality of life. You know, your social life, your work life, and so on. And once we determine that you are a suitable candidate for the treatment, then of course we need to explain it to you in detail, how it works, the benefits, the risks, and the alternatives. And if you're okay with all of that, then we can go ahead.
Yep, I ticked all the yes boxes.
Okay.
Let's see those Brad Pitts then. What would you do first?
Okay. Now, can I get you to lie on your back, please?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then, yeah, that's good. Okay. So basically, this is the armpit. And the first thing we're going to do is to mark out the areas. So can I just have that? Yeah, in the pen. Okay. So we're going to mark out the area that we want. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
I've never tortured a celebrity on my show before.
Okay, so we're guided by the hair-bearing portion of the underarm area.
Yes.
And so this is going to be our treatment area.
Got it.
Step 2 is to inject local anesthetic because we've got to numb the area so that when we do the treatment, it doesn't hurt. Step 3, okay. Step 3 is we're going to apply a grid. Okay, let's have the...
What's that going to do?
Well, the grid is like a road map for us. It's going to guide us in terms of how we apply the applicator. Okay, so I need to wet this with alcohol.
Oh,
So, sorry if it feels a bit cold.
no, it's fine.
Oh, it's like those sweets that we used to buy as kids.
Those like temporary fun tattoos,
Yes.
right?
So now you can see we have a grid. Thanks.
This is armpit art.
And
I
this-
can't see what's happening right now, but
It's great.
You will love it. You will love it.
So we're basically going to treat according to the markings on our grid, one rectangle at a time to ensure that we effectively and thoroughly treat the whole area.
Oh.
Now, over here is the handheld handpiece or the applicator. And this white rectangle that you see is known as a biotip. And this is where the microwave energy gets delivered. Okay, so let me show you how it works. So here are the sweat glands in the fat under the skin. And when we apply the device, the skin gets drawn upwards by the vacuum suction. And the microwave energy is delivered selectively only to the sweat glands to destroy them, while the skin above is cooled to prevent it from being injured.
That looks really good, actually. Can we see how it's done?
Sure. So I'm holding the device in my hand now. And as we said earlier, this is the applicator. So I will apply it onto the skin. And when I press the button to fire a shot, the vacuum suction will draw the skin in, and then it will deliver the microwave energy to the sweat glands while simultaneously cooling the skin to protect it.
Wow.
And then after that first shot, we fire the next shot, and we just systematically work our way through the grid until we have covered the entire armpit.
That is so interesting. Enlai, thank you for showing us your armpits. We'll leave you with the underarm tattoo.
Oh, thank you.
We'll do the treatment later, okay?
Please.
Dr. Wang, how long would it take you to complete 2 underarms?
About 45 minutes to an hour, so it does need a bit of time.
For that treatment, is there any side effects?
Mild swelling and bruising is possible, but that usually goes away in about a week. And sometimes you can feel a bit of lumpiness in the armpit area, but that also subsides on its own over a period of a few weeks.
And then it's good.
Yes.
Can I try it for my hands as well?
Unfortunately, you can't, because it was designed only for the armpits.
Oh.
I have a question. Talking about hands and dealing with it, I had a friend who went for surgery to deal with his sweaty palms, and he started sweating elsewhere, like on his back. Why?
Yes, unfortunately, that is a known complication for surgery used to treat sweaty armpits or sweaty palms. And in this procedure, the nerves that supply the armpit and the hands, the sweat glands, those nerves are deliberately cut, but sometimes as an unwanted side effect, you then get compensatory sweating in other parts of the body, and we don't understand the mechanism for that.
But you won't get it with this.
No, you won't.
Where does the sweat go then?
You just stop sweating in that area because the sweat glands have been destroyed, but somehow the body is able to adapt, and you don't end up with excessive sweating in other parts of the body that could again impair your quality of life.
That
This
sounds
could be a
good.
real good option for people with excessive sweaty underarms. And it's unique to know that this is being done. It's actually approved and it's only for the underarm, right?
Yes, that's right. It is approved by the US FDA and Singapore's HSA for this application.
Just good news.
And you get a
Right.
tattoo.
Don't worry, you can wash that away. But Dr. Huang, thank you so much for showing us how it's done and for answering
My
our celebs
pleasure.
questions.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's amazing to see how celebrities share their real-life experiences and try and find solutions. That's what this show is all about. Professor Lam, what do we need to remember about hyperhidrosis?
Well, first thing, it is such a common condition. Follow the example of our celebrities. You don't have to hide it all the time. You can see a doctor because treatment is available. But when do you see a doctor? Well, when it's causing social impairment or difficulty with you managing at your job or at school, and if it's sudden, new, and associated with things like fever, weight loss, and so on.
If you want to check out our previous episodes of Body and Soul, like the one that we did on hyperhidrosis and we showed the actual surgery as well, go online right now to MeWatch to catch up anytime. Thank you all for joining us on this episode of Body and Soul. Stay always in the best of health. Bye.